So, welcome everyone. Today I have the pleasure of launching a new session in the Beyond Consulting podcast. And it's my real pleasure to have with me Alessandro Rossi. Alessandro is managing the workforce at Lutech, but he is a true HR expert, I would say, because he has been working in the human resource field for almost 25 years and in many, many countries across Europe. He's lastly leading for more than 12 years in Atos, being there the global HR director for resources and the service industry. And we also both share, and I'm happy to say that some common roots in the energy industry long time ago. So it's my real pleasure. Alessandro, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Christian, and thanks for all of you that are listening. As you said, Christian, I'm very happy to be guested on this podcast. Interesting experience also for me, new learning also for me. And as you said, yes, I'm a kind of hybrid person between HR, consulting, and that has been working across several industry. Mostly, I would say, in the last 12, 14 years in the technology side, but also in energy utility, in fast mover consumer good, financial service, chemical, and so on. So that's me.
Super. And Alessandro, from where are you joining us today? When we spoke very early this morning, you told me you had 4 flights in a row. Should that be
Yes.
where you're at the moment?
I'm normally based in Milan. Today I'm speaking from Sardinia, and yesterday I've been in the south of Italy, where we have our big R&D center with more than 500 engineers. And but unfortunately, it took me 4 flights yesterday to go and back to get some live session with some external stakeholder, let's say.
Very good. Yeah, thanks for making it today. And so maybe to kick it off, can you tell us a bit around what sparked your interest in tech and HR specifically, and when did you sort of like decide to go into HR?
That might be a never-ending story in front of a glass of wine, probably. By the way, in this learning path, I'm very proud to say that I'm uh, I'm also having some third examination about sommelier and wine tasting. So, but despite that, I would say. HR choices somehow was similar, not so planned at the beginning. I studied economics, but at the end of my study, I really found interesting the human side of people, the organizational side, the organizational capability building. I would say organization that are more uh, performant, but also more interesting to live and work in. So that was originally the real reason. And I would say probably I didn't want to do the accountant, neither to do SAP customization. So that was my choice. And then I started a journey between startup, new business. It was the time of the new economy at the year 2000. And uh, and then I followed this, I would say, unusual path, going from being part of an HR team of an international company worldwide, then experimenting some years as a strategic consultant, mostly working in change. But that was for me the real and probably most, I would say, important experience in terms of my learning, my personal growth, and then going back again in Ion, where we both worked, and then in the tech side. I would say that that's life.
And I mean, tell us, you've seen a lot of HR organizations, some very big HR or like companies, HR organizations for very big companies that you were part of. What are the trends, the challenges that these large organizations face when you think about HR in our days now?
Uh, First of all, I probably like was my initial consideration. I think organizations are made of people, and and therefore the experience you do with this organization depend a lot on the people you meet, how much you are lucky in meeting the right people. But for sure, a kind of pattern I've been experiencing in this large organization is that I would say they are slow. They tend to be slow. Decisional process tend to be slow. And this is because when you move a big giant, I don't want to make any animal comparison, but when you move a giant, then you have some inertia, but you have some risk, and therefore there is a lot of needed process to manage the risk, to manage complex process. Sometimes this might become the real heritage or the real legacy in some of these organizations. And I think the managerial role or is the one to promote the change, promote the innovation, and try to look forward and not just in optimizing the daily life. I would say doing both, and that's the reason because I also decide to come biggest part of my career doing a kind of internal consultant inside big organization.
And you describe yourself as HR, but also as managing the workforce. So my question would be like, you talk about this transformation, you move a giant. What role does HR play in this?
Uh, First of all, I think in the role of HR, a lot depends on how you interpret the role and how lucky you are in find the right stakeholder that allow you to do the right things. Personally speaking, I think I changed my perspective on HR when after my consulting experience, when I had the opportunity when I was still very young to meet with CAO speaking about HR topics. So I think uh, that's the difference, is speaking about the language of the business, of the one that has to manage the entire P&L and the value growth of the company. So I think in my perspective, HR needs to touch the value of the company, working on all the lever that he has too. So with the individual people, with the organization, the process, and uh, and so on. And for me, the border between HR, change management, transformation, is not so clear. Is your capability to influence the overall transformation and looking at future and not only at the today optimization, that is your limit. And of course, the capability to sell this, to communicate this to important stakeholders inside the company.
And if you are an HR leader and you want to make an impact on the transformation, what are sort of some topics where you see maybe also from your parts where it's really worth like influencing a bit or going maybe beyond what's maybe the classical role or maybe also creating or new areas of value for the company?
I think here we can spend uh, more than one podcast, and probably we can
Yeah, we
write
can
write
do
books.
another one.
I'm personally passionate about one topic that I think is totally changing the way on which HR should also organize itself in terms of skill. That is employee experience. So the capability to redesign process that are smooth, that are centered to the person, so the employee and the line manager that is interacting, or the role that are interacting with the person. So I think employee experience is somehow need to learn from what marketing did in the last probably 30 years, and HR might learn a lot from this. So this is, I think, one big topic. But then, if we go more on also on my actual perimeter of job, that is more related to workforce transformation, I think planning is a critical aspect. I think looking forward and having the capability to looking forward not only in terms of theory, but doing plans that speak the language of the business, not only the financial plan, but also incorporating the logic of skill into the plan, I think is a big challenge. And this is especially for technology, for companies that are very exposed to technology, because the taxonomy behind you and the capability to know which skill you have in your company is extremely complex and extremely dynamic. So I think planning skill is a critical area first. Second, for me, we all live in this kind of boom of AI explosion. Probably not all the promise will be realized, but for sure this is a transformational moment for the entire world economy. And on this, clearly AI can give its benefit to the people that are motivated to learn to use it and to use this benefit rather than fight. And in Europe, sometimes we tend to find more the risk than the benefit of the adoption. So I think it's extremely important the role of HR in moving the organization into this adoption, we keeping our critical perspective on the side that we want to manage from individual perspective, company perspective, technology perspective, and so on. So I think AI adoption is probably one of the most important topic in the HR agenda today. And I would say last but not least, we are looking at future, but we need to drive a train that is going very fast. Normally, these are big company, a train that needs to deliver quarter on quarter, year on year P&L. And it means execution of the current action and delivering result in the current moment is extremely important. And on this, again, if I go back to the previous topic, having the right skill at the right moment is critical. So time is critical. So that's for me.
And I think everyone would agree that it's great to have the right skill at the right time. How do you define what is a great skill? I couldn't. So, I mean, with Expert Powerhouse, we are also matching, for example, freelance consultants with projects, and you have a AI that is supports the matching process. Yeah. There is keyword-based matching out in the industry. There are skill graphs. There are skill databases. Yeah. How do you best define as a leader what are your critical skills that you need in the organization? Is it something that you can buy somewhere? Is it something that you need to discuss intensively with HR, where you get technology support with it? Can you tell us a bit how you get to the next level of finding that right skill in the right time?
Okay, but first of all, I think there is a global set and a global language that is across the industry, large organization that speak to the traditional soft skill framework, to the traditional method skill framework, and I think this is, of course, more and more relevant to enable the capability of individual and teams and organization to move forward. But this is not enough, in my opinion. I think AI today is also enabling a new knowledge management era. No, and then I don't know if knowledge management is a little bit old-fashioned wording, but I think it's enabling the organization to go away from the receipt that a resource and competency strategy is the is the same across the entire industry, and we might more reflect in terms of resource strategy, core competency strategy on what is important for us, what is already today for us an asset, what we need to build, what we need to dismiss. I think this is the critical part that AI can enable today and might make the difference. And it becoming more and more important because we see that when we say the right skill at the right time, then we don't. I mean, we need to have a specific capability of individual and of teams, then become organizational capability. And this might only be related to your core process on what your company is doing. In a technology company, is clear. Uh, of course, if you decide to go for one specific service offering, then you need the people that are able to run this project, and you need to break down the skill that are needed to do that. And is not sometime we have been living in years where you assume that then if you don't have the skill, you buy on the market, you hire somebody and you solve the problem. I think this is not more the case. First, because of labor shortage, and second, because sometimes the skills are so new that nobody has in the market. Therefore, you need to align very good in a good way what you sell, what is your commercial strategy to what you are able to deliver.
And you describe it like you have the matching of the skills, you have individual skill matching, then you bring different skills together in a team that then forms a organizational capability. Now, where is the space for individual learning? Let's say someone does not have a specific capability yet, but wants it, but he doesn't have it yet. So the matching will not pick him up for something that needs a new skill.
I think, first of all, we live in a world that is extremely dynamic and where motivation matters. Therefore, everybody has to find his own way. And it means he needs to be aware on what is his starting point, needs to be aware on what is motivating him or her more, so the direction that he or the possible scenario where he wants to go. And I think first of all, the individual is the starting point. Company, I think, needs to enable the individual giving the results to learn, and especially giving the project the context where to learn. I also think that the sum of all the individual sometimes is not enough to cover all the need of the company, and therefore, in terms of time or in terms of portfolio of competencies, and therefore, more and more in this complex world, I think we need to go through a real open ecosystem approach, where we look at collaborating with external stakeholders. That might be other company, that might be startups. For example, internally we have a campus of startup, but in general, I think looking to other organizations that might go faster in some specific topic, might be more focalized or passionate in specific topics. So I think in our modern world, we need to connect the dots as much as possible. And this brings me also to the topic that probably even using freelance or other I would say partner. I don't like so much the word subcontractor but I would say other consultant is bringing value. So I think connecting dots is extremely important.
And that's super interesting that you raise this topic. I mean, there is of course a large universe of freelance talent out there. I mean, we ourselves with Expert Powers cover a lot the management consulting segment of the freelance industry. But where do you see freelancers fitting in this puzzle of skill-based competencies? Would they be, is it more important for companies to have them as a or see them as a resource pool to augment certain skills? Or do you see it more as a resource pool also to foster execution, and just basically have additional hands on deck when big transformations are running?
Probably the reply is a mix of all the elements you just quoted. Again, because we need to drive the future, and we really need to drive the train that is going very fast. I think personally that a freelance, like an individual inside a company, and this career may evolve and change and over a personal career of everybody. I think a freelancer needs always to ask herself, himself, what is the medium long term value I'm bringing, and which are even the short term aspect, the short term necessary condition that I need to fulfill to be perceived as a value producer in this collaboration with one company. Uh,
And from a HR
I
perspective, so I see like a lot of companies. Would you say freelance talent is a resource, like a strategic resource that companies can tap into, or is it more a compliance risk that companies should stay away from? That's the two extremes I sometimes hear. Where would you put it from an HR perspective?
Of course, this depends on the organizational culture and model of the company, and we cannot deny this. From my perspective, compliance, especially in the European market, is a topic that is varying a lot across each country, very different in Italy rather than Germany, France. But this is a necessary condition that everybody needs to know exactly and being ahead of all type of potential risk that a company might occur in using or in engaging a freelance. So I think compliance is extremely is an high topic, a high relevant topic in the short term, in the today world. Um, so I think yes, that's very important. I think another kind of necessary condition is in this transformation where almost all player in the technological arena is trying to drive AI transformation. If you don't want to be perceived as a resource to be paid less, I would say, as a commodity, I think you need to be somehow always an AI ambassador. So I think there is an important opportunity for freelancer to be the input the booster in company to be AI ambassador and move the organization into a more future direction, but with practical business case every time. And last but not least, I would say all is for me always the light is in this competitive landscape that is more and more aggressive, where prices are shrinking and complexity of doing service is more and more difficult. You need to, as a freelancer, you need to be very well positioned in skill, in doing something that is on looking at future that is a niche skill and is not a commodity. And I think you need to always doing something that is or rare in the market. And while you are doing this, you need to prepare the next skill that will be rare in 2 years for in 1 year. So I think that's the secret to not a secret, I would say, but that's probably the only way where you can escape the price logic, no, the discount logic where you are just a commodity um, to solve a peak problem or to squeeze the cost outside.
Right, and so it's a bit like lifelong learning, as I potentially understand it, what you say, but really trying to have a niche also as a freelancer. So your credo, if I understand you right, is to say, look, you should have definitely a niche as a freelancer. Um, Generalists are not so much needed anymore.
I think common ground and a common ground skill in terms of communication, problem solving, project management, AI, being an AI ambassador, compliance topic, all this is of course a backbone that you must have. But then the competition is done on your specific skill and your vertical skill. And I think freelance have a unique opportunity rather than an individual sometime working in a big organization. You
Mhm.
can somehow drive in a more flexible way, not only what you study, what you learn, the next certification you will have, but also the project you will work on, the customer you will work on. And these allow you to learn sometimes faster than what's happening in a company where you need to have constraint that the individual not always can match following the individual development need. So I think that's an important opportunity that every freelance individual should look carefully, looking at the possibility to produce value in the future and to be always in front of big giant.
Alessandro, thanks a lot for the advice. If it would be one thing that you would give to the freelancers, yeah, as an advice, and I know you just said, look, uh, always have the niche, or constantly invest while you're doing the project already, yeah. But maybe there are some practical things also to give on the way that come from your experience as from the HR side when you select also consultants, yeah. What's the most important one advice you would give to a freelance consultant?
Uh, Difficult question. I'm also a coach somehow. Um, I think I think always being or finding our individual way to balance the today work, the today project I need to deliver with my learning for future and with my learning for myself, who I am, what I want to do, what really motivate me, even in terms of project technical activity I need to do. So I think it's the balance between these three things: the present, what I deliver, what I study, and what I learn, who I am, and who I want to be tomorrow.
Thank you, Alessandro. Thank you very much also for taking the time today. It's been a pleasure having you on the show, and I think there were very valuable insights today, especially also for our freelance consultants. Thanks again for taking the time.
Thank you to you, Christian. Thank you all for listening.